What if freedom isn't loud? What if it looks more like letting go quietly and finally feeling safe inside your own skin? In a world that celebrates hustle and constant noise, the softest truths are often the ones we forget to hear. Buddhist wisdom doesn't come to impress, it comes to invite. Not with rules, but with quiet reminders that maybe you don't need to try so hard to be okay. There's a kind of tiredness that sleep can't fix. The kind that comes from trying to hold everything together. The bills, the job, the family, the facade. You wake up already bracing for the day, scrolling through news that makes you feel small, trying to focus while your mind is chasing 1,000 worries you didn't ask to carry. And all the while, you smile, because at least you have a job, because others have it worse, because that's what strong people do, right? But strength isn't just about pushing through. Sometimes it's about sitting down with your truth and letting it breathe for the first time in a long time. That's what this video is for, to walk with you, not ahead of you, to sit beside you, not teach you, to remind you that Buddhist insight isn't about being perfect, it's about being present. So let's begin with 5 truths that don't demand anything from you except a little stillness and a little space to be honest. 1. Pain is certain, suffering is optional. You check your messages, then your to-do list, then your bank account, twice. And somehow, before the day even begins, your chest already feels heavy. You're not in crisis. You're just tired, in a way that no one can see. Not the kind of tired that sleep solves, but the kind that comes from holding your breath for too many months, pretending everything is fine. I should be grateful. Other people have it worse, just keep going. So you push through, you stay strong. But somewhere along the way, you start believing that the weight you're carrying is your fault. That's what makes pain turn into suffering. The Buddha didn't say we'd avoid pain. He said it was certain, unavoidable. But suffering? That's the story we tell ourselves when we believe pain means we failed. Why can't I handle this better? What's wrong with me? Maybe I'm just not strong enough. According to the American Psychological Association, over 77% of adults in the US report chronic stress, and more than half say they feel emotionally numb, like they're just getting through the day. That numbness isn't weakness. It's what happens when you've been holding on without resting, fighting without feeling, coping instead of healing. But here's the quiet truth. Pain isn't the enemy. Your self-blame is. Try this, not as a fix, but as a small pause. Close your eyes, place one hand on your heart, and whisper, "This is hard, and I'm still allowed to be gentle with myself." That isn't giving up. That's giving yourself back. You don't heal by fighting the pain. You begin healing when you stop fighting yourself. 2. You only lose what you cling to. Sometimes the things we hold on to the tightest are the ones quietly holding us back. That version of you who used to chase approval, that relationship that ended, but still lives rent-free in your thoughts. That dream you no longer believe in, but can't quite let die. You're not stuck because you failed. You're stuck because you're still gripping something that your heart has already outgrown. In Buddhism, suffering doesn't come from wanting. It comes from attachment. The belief that if you hold tight enough, you can control what was never really yours. And let's be honest, we've all been afraid to let go because deep down we ask ourselves, if I let go, what's left of me? If I move on, did any of it matter? If I stop hoping, who even am I now? In a global grief study, 2023, over 63% of participants said the hardest part of loss wasn't the event itself, it was the identity crisis that came after. When we cling, we're not just afraid of losing the thing, we're afraid of losing who we were when we had it. But here's what Buddhism gently reminds us. Letting go isn't forgetting. It's not erasing or betraying or pretending it never mattered. It's saying, this shaped me, but it no longer defines me. So if there's something you've been carrying just because you're scared to drop it, try this. Write it down. One sentence. No pressure to be profound, just honest. Then fold it, tear it, bury it. Let the act mean, I no longer owe this my peace. You don't have to hate it to release it. You just have to choose yourself more. Letting go doesn't say it meant nothing. It says your future matters more. 3. It is a man's own mind, not his enemy, that lures him to destruction. Some wounds don't show up on your body. They show up in your self-talk, in how quickly you apologize for existing, in how loud your inner voice gets when no one else is around. You could be sitting in silence, but your thoughts are anything but quiet. You're not doing enough. You're falling behind. You're the reason this keeps happening. We often think it's the world that's crushing us, the bills, the expectations, the noise, but sometimes the battle is inside. And the most dangerous enemy isn't someone else. It's the version of you that learned to attack yourself before anyone else could. The Buddha saw this long before neuroscience did, that the mind, untamed, unquestioned, can become its own prison. Modern studies back this too. Researchers at the University of Michigan found that self-critical thoughts activate the same brain regions as physical pain. To your brain, saying I'm not enough feels no different than a punch to the gut. But here's the truth most of us were never taught. You are not that voice. You are the one hearing it, and you get to change the tone. Try this, not as a ritual, but as a real question. Next time the self-judgment rises, place your hand gently on your chest and ask, would I say this to someone I love? If not, maybe it's time to stop saying it to yourself too. You are not your worst thoughts. You are the one strong enough to interrupt them. You don't need to fix anything right now. You don't even need to understand it all. You've just spent a few minutes sitting with your truth, and that alone is a kind of strength. So take a breath, not to be calm, just to remind yourself you're allowed to feel everything without apologizing for it. 4. Let go of the past. Let go of the future. Let go of the present and cross over to the farther shore of existence. There's a kind of exhaustion that comes from time itself. Not just the past you can't undo, not just the future you can't predict, but the pressure to hold it all together. Right now, you wake up with a calendar already screaming. Bills, emails, deadlines, family. Every minute feels like a performance, like you're racing a clock that never lets you rest. You're not lazy. You're not ungrateful. You're just living in a world that tells you, stay on schedule, stay in control. Stay ahead, or you'll fall behind. But the Buddha's teaching cuts through all of it. Let go of what was, of what might be, even of the pressure to be present perfectly. Because sometimes the now we're told to live in isn't peaceful. It's packed, overstimulated, overbooked. According to Harvard research, people spend nearly 47% of their waking hours with their minds wandering, usually to regret, worry, or mental rehearsals of imaginary disasters. No wonder we're tired. No wonder we feel like we're surviving more than living. So here's a gentler idea. You don't need to be mindful every second. You don't need to control the moment. You can just sit, breathe, and whisper, "Even now, I can soften." Not because life is easy, but because your nervous system deserves a moment without armor. You don't have to master the moment. You just need to stop making it your battlefield. 5. If your compassion does not include yourself, it is incomplete. You refill everyone's cup, answer every late-night message, pick up extra work, plan the meals, keep the house running. Stay strong for the people who lean on you. And when it gets too much, you don't complain. You tell yourself, just a few more days. I don't have time to fall apart. Other people have it harder. You're not unkind. You're just saving all your kindness for everyone but you. And the truth is, we don't burn out because we're weak. We burn out because we were never taught how to give ourselves the care we give others. Buddhism doesn't glorify self-sacrifice. It doesn't ask you to disappear behind duty. It asks something much harder. Can you include yourself in the circle of your own compassion? A Stanford study found that self-compassion reduces emotional burnout even more than rest or vacation, especially in roles of invisible labor: parents, caregivers, teachers, team leaders. But compassion isn't a spa day. It's a practice of not abandoning yourself when things get heavy. Try this. Pick one sentence you often say to others, then whisper it to yourself. It's okay. You're doing your best. You don't have to do it all today. It may feel awkward, but you said it with love before. You deserve to hear it with love now. You don't have to carry the world without someone carrying you too, and maybe that someone can start with you. 6. Freedom is not escape. It is the ability to stay. Most of us think of freedom as leaving, quitting, running, escaping everything that hurts. But what if freedom is something quieter? Not the exit, but the space inside you that says, I can stay, and I'll be okay here too. You don't have to disappear to begin again. You don't have to move cities, delete accounts, start over every time you feel overwhelmed. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to pause right where you are and not run from the feeling. That's not weakness, that's presence. That's courage. So the next time it hurts, don't say, how do I get out of this? Instead, try, how do I stay and still be kind to myself while I'm here? That shift is small, but it can change everything. Freedom isn't always in the leaving. Sometimes it's in the staying, without self-punishment. This is not your failure. This is the cost of surviving a world that doesn't stop. Let's pause for a moment and name the truth no one says out loud. We are not tired because we're weak. We're tired because we've been living in a world that mistakes burnout for bravery and constant productivity for self-worth. A world that tells you, if you're overwhelmed, you're inefficient. If you're struggling, you're falling behind. If you're not thriving, you're the problem. No, you're not. You're surviving something brutal. The pressure to be everything, all at once, without ever resting. You were never meant to carry it all, to smile through exhaustion, to be strong without softness, to give without ever receiving. But you did, and you still do. So if you're feeling heavy, let that be proof not of failure, but of how deeply you've been trying in a system that doesn't see softness as strength. You're not broken, you're just long overdue for gentleness. Let that sink in. Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. You've tried to earn peace by doing more, solving more, fixing more. But what if peace doesn't come when everything is done, but when you stop needing to fix everything? Try this. Take 60 seconds. No phone, no plan. Just breathe, like nothing's wrong. Sometimes peace isn't something to chase. It's something to remember. The mind is everything. What you think, you become. We believe our thoughts are truth, even when they're cruel, even when they shrink us. But what if that voice in your head wasn't the truth, just a habit? Next time you hear, "You're not good enough," don't argue. Just answer gently, "Maybe, but I'm still growing." What you become begins with what you believe. There is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path. You keep waiting for joy, after the job, after the healing, after the next version of yourself. But what if joy isn't a reward? What if it's a companion you've been ignoring? Try this. Enjoy something small, fully. A warm drink, a quiet song, the way light lands on your wall. Happiness isn't a destination, it's a moment, practiced often. In the past 20 minutes, you didn't just listen to Buddhist wisdom. You paused, you breathed, you let something inside you soften. Maybe it was one sentence, one image, one moment where you felt a little less alone. That's enough. You don't need to do something with it. You can just let it settle, like dust in sunlight. Because healing doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it just arrives in the quiet decision not to abandon yourself anymore. If something in this video touched you, even just a breath of it, I hope you'll stay. Subscribe, not for the algorithm, but for reminders like this one. You're not broken, you're just healing. And healing takes time. If any truth today felt like a mirror, drop it in the comments. Not to be seen, but to say, "This is where I am, and I'm still walking." Until next time, be kinder to your breath, be slower with your thoughts, and carry one truth, just one, a little longer.